Welcome back, everybody, to the Founders Only podcast. I am so excited today to welcome Bethany Stachenfeld. Bethany is the co-founder and CEO of Sendspark, a platform revolutionizing B2B communication by enabling personalized video at scale. Bethany has held previous roles at VidGrid, FileStack, and Venture for America. At Sendspark, Bethany leads with a human-centric, product-led approach using personalized video to help brands connect more meaningfully with their audiences. Welcome, Bethany.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
So we're jumping right in. Can you tell me about your journey to becoming the co-founder and CEO of Sendspark?
Yeah, before starting Sendspark, I worked at two other startups, and I worked with my co-founder, Brandon. So we were doing similar roles, me in marketing, lead generation, and him in product design. And so working at other startups, we just fell in love with the kind of chaos and energy of a startup and knew we wanted to do our own thing for a little bit together. But it was only when we were at VidGrid, which is a video company, and we were trying to use video as part of the sales process, that we found the opportunity to create personalized videos at scale. And we're like, hey, if we need this, other people should need it too. So we started the company about 5 years ago.
I love the stories where people fall into identifying an amazing product because they're trying to solve a solution for themselves. Mm-hmm. And at this point, as many interviews as I've done on this show, it's so interesting to see there's really not that many different stories overall. So you've got this kind of bucket of stories like what you just described. I had a similar experience. And then you have the kind of like serial entrepreneurs who who want to build something. They just keep looking until they find a product. And you have different stories. But I have to say this is my favorite type of story, because I always say, like if you can find a solution for yourself, there's always, 1,000 or 1,000,000 more just like you who want to solve that same problem that you've just figured out. So I love that story.
Yeah, and it's a great way to know, hey, if I have this problem, other people do too.
Absolutely. And you can rest assured, like there's at least, even if you're making like alpaca hats, there's at least 1,000 people in the world who want that, if you want it. So now let's go back to Bethany as a child. Tell me what you did for fun, what types of things interest you, where you're from, what your families did.
I grew up in Chatham, New Jersey, so kind of like the suburbs, an hour outside of New York City. As a kid, I really liked swimming. I did karate growing up. I started karate when I was 5. One of the cool things, I actually think that karate has been a big influence on me as a founder, because when I started with my mom and my sister, and it was like the same week that the dojo opened. And so I grew up with the dojo and was like, it was kind of like a family, but we were all part of like building that community. Like as kids, we were cleaning the mirrors and the windows, and recruiting new students to go to karate camp, and just were part of building that, which I think is a really cool experience. And, I think a lot of the reason that other people don't start companies is you don't know you can. You're like, that's just not an option, right? I'm supposed to work. But when you grow up and you're part of building something, then it just makes it seem very accessible. So I've thought about that a lot. And I think karate was a big influence on me.
That's interesting, because I thought you were going to go in the direction of discipline. So you're going to say karate gave you a lot of discipline, which is also critical. Running a business, resilience and discipline. So no, that's cool. Okay. And what type of work did your parents do?
My dad was a lawyer, and he actually started his own law firm too when I was 5. So that was another entrepreneurial influence on me. And then my mom ended up being a stay-at-home mom, but before that she did marketing and international business. So I do have memories of her like traveling all over the world and coming back with cool gifts for me and my sister.
So there's a lot of parallels there. So you went into marketing, your mom was in marketing, your dad was an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur, and so are you. So that's pretty cool. Okay.
I didn't
talk about at home. Huh?
I didn't branch too far out, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's break down how you identified the solution to this problem. So you said that you and your co-founder were trying to use video for sales. Can you tell me a little bit more about like maybe the day that you all kind of discovered this or even decided that, hey, this is something we should do on our own?
Yeah, well, it really started with email outreach. I'm a big fan of email as a strategy for startups because, say what you will about it being harder to stand out and reply rates being lower than they were, but it's still one of the cheapest channels to scale, like compared to any other marketing channel. And email is just really cheap to do, which makes it accessible for startups, and you're able to be very personalized. You're just making your pitch, right? And so at my last company, we were using email to reach out to prospective customers, and we were video tools. We're like, we have to have a video, ideally of the sales rep who's going to be reaching out, so that even though I was sending it on behalf of marketing, it's coming from sales, and sales is going to get the response and take the meeting from there. And so we are trying to get videos from the sales rep in email. And the way that we are doing this, this was a few years ago. So even, so we're trying to use like tools like what you think of like Loom or Vidyard. But the problem was, how do you make it personalized in a scalable way? And this was before AI was as accessible as it is now. So we were trying to personalize the images in the video cover. So it'd be like, showing their logo on the screen or something like that to really make it personal and stand out. And it was just a lot of like design work for me and my now co-founder, because we were trying to like create these files, personalize different attributes, export at scale. And it's like a lot faster than re-recording new videos, but it was still really, really manual. So we started Sendspark. The goal was like, how do we personalize different parts of the video for different people? And it just kind of evolved from there. Now we're able to do a lot more like AI voice cloning to change the audio and other things in the video. But even at the beginning, it was just like, what needs to be personalized? How do we do it in a scalable way instead of trying to do it individually for every prospect?
Makes sense. Makes sense. So how do you and your co-founder divide responsibilities? Like, who's the visionary? Who's the operator? Have you figured that out?
Yeah, I mean, we have we're lucky in that we've worked together for probably 3 years before starting the company. And so in terms of who does what, like we already kind of had that working relationship in place. And, we have very different skills. Like he's one of the most talented designers I've ever met. Even like the first time I met him, working with him at a different company, I was like, this is the guy I want to build a company with, because
Wow.
he's a great designer. And like, you have an idea and then he'll be like, oh, is this what you mean? Do like in Figma.
Uh-huh.
Way better than I could have imagined. So he's really good at like all kinds of visual things, design, product, connecting different dots. And then I'm probably more, better when it comes to like laying out a very clear linear strategy. I sometimes say like, I think in lines, he thinks in circles, because he can like connect all these dots in a really creative way. And I'm more like A, B, C, D, like eliminate F. So, it kind of works out on its own a little bit. And also I'd say like we communicate, like you would say we over communicate. And I think that's important, because when you over communicate, there's nothing that's like bottled up and you're like, I'm resentful that, I'm doing this and you're not doing this. It's just kind of like, we'll talk about it. I'd be like, can you do this? Or, hey, this is kind of hard for me. I need some help here. Or like, oh no, I actually really want to do that. That would be fun for me. So it kind of works out that we have different strengths, but also we just communicate.
How have you all encountered any struggles in your co-founder dynamics? For example, like maybe managing as you're scaling people, or coming up with core values, a mission, culture, anything like that?
I mean, it's hard. Like I'd say we argue all the time,
Mhm.
but like not in a bad way. And we actually have a joke that like we'll often go into an argument and then like we'll both convince each other and then we'll change sides and they'll be arguing the other point. We're like, not this again. No, you were really right. And just no, you convinced me. So I'd say, like,
I
I
love
think,
that.
yeah, it's funny. It happens it happens all the
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that it helps that we both try to be like open-minded, and we have like a lot of mutual respect for each other. So it's not that we don't have like troubles or argue, like we do. We have differing opinions, but we'll like talk through it. And I think also understand that maybe if if someone says something that's actually mean, it's like, okay, maybe we need to chill out because stuff's just stressful, like take a break and come back to it. But there hasn't been anything that's like so inherently different where it's like, I want these values and I want these values. It's like, no, we probably both have good reasons for what we want.
Okay. So, what were the biggest go to market challenges that you faced when you were launching Sendspark? How did you get your first 100 users, let's say?
Yeah. So first 100 users, I think there can be a little bit of a chicken and egg problem, a lot of a chicken and egg problem with startups in general, where, to build a really good product, you need users who are giving you feedback. But to get users, you need a product. And so there's always kind of that shuffle of like, how many users do I really want at one time? And like, how much feedback can we be taking in right now? And so when we launched early, we decided to launch on the side of being too early. We're like, hey, we're going to launch too early and we're going to do a kind of a broad launch. Like we did Product Hunt, Beta List, AppSumo, like kind of broad channels, so that from there we could get a lot of users to see like, what are the real use cases? Like people are going to say that they love your product all day, but who's actually the one using it that's finding value and that Sendspark is 10x better for? So we did that. And that's when we found like, because even in a sales product, there's a lot of different industries or roles in that. So we were able to figure out like, who are the people that find this 10x better than your Looms and Vidyards and other video products out there that we can double down on and really focus on. And then kind of tell the rest of the customers like, thanks for using us, but like, you can keep using it, but we're going to ignore some of your feedback so that we can focus on the people who there is an opportunity to make this like a daily product that you can't live without. And I think that's a danger for startups is building for people who only kind of like your product, because you can take their feedback all day and you're still not going to make a big enough difference for them to become like long-term sticky customers. So that was a challenge early to figure that out and just know where to focus long-term.
So once you focused, how did you actually go to market? Like, what was the winning tactic that got you your first 100 customers?
Well, I mean, the first 100, like I'd say it wasn't even us to go to market. It was just like launching. So we launched on Product Hunt, Beta List, AppSumo, just like social. And we just kind of were like, hey, we're out here. So that was the beginning.
And that worked. Okay.
Yeah. And that worked to get us like 100 users. I mean, it helped at the time we were $15 a month. So it's not, I know companies that charge much more than that aren't at 100 right now, but for us, it was a broad approach. And then from there, once we really identified who is our primary customer, let's go all in here. Then we had a more targeted marketing strategy of like, okay, where do these people live? How do we get in their circles? How do we get in their day to day? So what we ended up going, so what we've done from there, and also I'll say we raised venture capital, but we never raised like so much that we could just do anything. We always had to be pretty conscious of like how much we're spending on channels. So we like leaned towards free channels. So we've done a lot of social. And since we work with salespeople, that means a lot of LinkedIn. We also have invested a lot in YouTube, especially like around words that people are searching for. So as a marketer, I used to do a lot of SEO, but like SEO has changed so much. I'm like, I don't even have to do blogs anymore, but let's focus on YouTube SEO and the YouTube algorithm. And then we do a lot of partnerships because the way that Sendspark is used, you're always going to be creating videos and sending them out in different channels. So it like makes partnerships a natural strategy. So, we've spent time building integrations with certain tools and then going to market with those platforms. So those are the top things that we're doing now. But I think that makes sense because of what our product is and who our customers are. So I wouldn't necessarily even recommend that for everyone. It's just about who your customers, where do they live? And then how do you get in front of them based on where they're already going to be spending time, whether that's LinkedIn, in another platform, or you can, have a pop-up or something else.
Makes sense.
Meet Brandy, your all-in-one content creation sidekick designed to make creating and managing your brand's content effortless. Let me show you how it works. Got a team? Bring them in. With Brandy, everyone can pitch in to create content that clicks. Managing multiple brands? Easily switch between profiles so you're always ready for the next project. The Brand Voice Analyzer ensures your content always sounds like you. Stuck on where to start? Check check out our handy prompt templates. They're like creative jumpstarts to get things moving. Every edit, every version saved. With content revision history, nothing gets lost, and you can always pick up right where you left off. Everything your brand needs, it's all right here in your brand asset library. Stay organized like a pro with custom folders for every project. No more hunting for that one file. Brandy does too, and is ready to help you connect. Or in any language, really. Speak to your audience in the words they know best. Need ideas or have questions? Just ask Brandy. Save time with custom snippets. Your most used phrases, always handy when you need them. Keep your notes, links, and ideas in one spot, so you're never hunting for that one piece of inspiration. Get personalized content tips and SEO strategies to help your brand stand out online. Join Brandy today and make your content creation smarter, faster, and better. Let's create something amazing.
This makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about AI. So AI can help founders scale content creation, but as you mentioned earlier, especially for email and some other channels, AI assisted content is super common. But how do you and how can other founders kind of stand out and still leverage AI, kind of maintaining that human connection, personalization, connection with your audience but still using AI? How do you recommend founders do that?
Yeah. So there's two things I'd recommend. One is start without using AI. Like the point of AI, in my opinion, is to scale what's working. And so if you try to scale before you know what's working, it's not going to work. And that's sometimes like I'll warn, like customers will come to me, they're like, hey, we're going to start our first cold email strategy. Like, let's scale it. And you're like, well, let's just like get your email copy good first. Otherwise you're going to think that you're going to spend a ton of time and think it didn't work. So often tell people like to start by like DMing people on LinkedIn or like sending cold emails. And then once you're like, okay, cool, I got the messaging, that's when you want to use AI to scale. And then when it comes to using AI specifically in scaling this, I'd say that the key benefits, one, are like, if you know how you're already personalizing messages to people, then you can use AI to replicate that scale. You're like, hey, I know I like to touch on points A, B, C. Let's use AI to do that writing for me. That can be really effective. If you don't, and you just say, hey, AI personalize this message, it's going to come out weird. So you want to really know what you're doing. And then another thing that's underrated is just using AI to make content unique is really powerful for email, because with email, one of the best ways you can land yourself in scale in spam is to the same message to everyone. So when you're using AI to change the message, even if you're not actually changing the meaning, that's going to help a lot with deliverability. And sometimes people think, oh, I need to personalize everything. And it's like, great. Well, if you know how to personalize it in a good way with AI, do it. And you're going to be the top 1%. But if you don't, just focus on your core offer and make the messaging slightly unique. And that's going to help with deliverability, which will have a huge impact on your reply rate and revenue. So think of what you really, say, get your core offer down and then figure out what is really unique about the messages. If that's something, do it. And if not, just make the content different and that'll help.
I love that. Great. I love that. So as a leader, how are you fostering a culture of innovation and customer centricity within Sendspark?
I think, it's a really good question, because I think our team goes over the top to be customer centric. And I hear that from our customers all the time. Like people will reach out to me and be like, hey, and then name like someone on our CS or support team by name and be like, this person was amazing. I'm like, and that happens to me, like, I'm going to say almost every day I'm getting a message.
Wow.
And so I'm like, I don't think that's normal. So we're doing something right. But I can't really take that much credit for it. I don't know how we're doing it. I think we just kind of hired good people that really care. And then that like culture builds on itself. Like, I don't think you can change someone. You can't be like, hey, we're going to have a culture about caring about customers and then hire someone who doesn't care and then change them. But I think we've just like intentionally hired people that really like care about the customer above all else. And so that's been our culture, but I don't know.
How do you think you've done that? Do you have any idea how you've kind of let's say, accidentally hired really customer centric people who seem to be aligned with your core values? I guess what I'm asking is like, do you consciously make an effort to ask questions about core values or something like that when you're interviewing people? Do you know how that might have happened?
I don't think we do. So I think it's really just happened on its own.
Okay.
Because more recently we've started doing like formal for more recent roles, like over the last year, we've been more intentional about like our great hiring process and having scorecards and like figuring that stuff out. But for our early team members, like we didn't at all. It was just like,
You just got lucky.
yeah, we just got lucky. For CS, we ended up hiring someone who was a customer, which was great because
Oh, wow. That's
I like,
awesome.
yeah, and I had this like role in mind where I'm like, oh, you want to hire for customer success? I want someone just like this person that we worked with as a customer. But I was like, yeah, I don't really want to poach our customer. And then she came to me, she's like, hey, like this is so funny, but my boss told me you love Sendspark so much, you should just go work for them. So like, just gonna throw that out. And I'm like,
Ah, wow. Wow. That is meant to be.
isn't it? More than a scorecard. But now now that we're bigger, I want to have more formal process and
Yeah, that's
replicate.
amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what do you think about profitability versus growth, especially like with SaaS?
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take a cop out answer here. I think that it growth is really important. I'm on the growth side, but I think that you should do that in a way that you have control. So that doesn't necessarily mean profitability. It just means like you should control your death date. Um, in a way that like if you just grow at all costs and you're counting on investors to come in because you're growing so fast, you're still not in a position of power. And like, you can hope that you have so many investors interested that they're going to compete and get the valuation up to the amount you want, but it still is a little bit risky for my taste. So I'm in the, hey, we don't need to be profitable, but I want to grow in a way that like there's a certain amount of runway, and I feel like we can control expenses, and most importantly, we have strong margins. So it's not like, well, the more customers we get, the more money we're going to lose. So I think that's a little bit different
Yeah,
than VC backed founders who would go growth at all costs. And it's definitely not the bootstrap approach, but it's just how do we make sure that we're growing? I want to win the market. I want Sendspark to be the absolute best company in the video space. I'd rather go more, the VC route. But I just want to make sure that we're not going to be in a position where we have, just a few months of runway and we need to fundraise, whether or not it's the time that's best for the business or the market to actually do that.
I love that answer too. So looking back now, 5 years, what's the one thing you wish you knew now before starting SenseSpark?
I wish I knew to say no to more things.
Mm,
I think especially early on, you're just like, any customer that sounds like a big opportunity or a big name, or, there's certain opportunities that may seem really tempting, but to be able to say no and focus more is a real strength. Especially saying no to different product features to build to keep the team more focused. And it's so hard, right? Because you just want to do everything and you want to make everyone happy and especially all your customers happy. And you want to give team members the opportunity to build things that they want to build. But I think that the more you can say no and focus and just like focus, execute, move on to the next thing, that's better for the business, better for the culture, better for customers because you have more complete products. So it's something I think we've gotten much better at recently, but I think we would have moved way faster in the beginning if we were more intentional about what we did and then did not do.
yes, focus. How do you personally stay motivated and avoid burnout? I bet though that having a co-founder helps. But when things get tough, what are the kind of some of the habits or things that you do to stay motivated and avoid burnout?
Yeah, I think it's important to like regularly see the impact of what you're doing. So the times when I'd say I'm closest to burning out is when I'm like only on the support side and you just see all of this like negative stuff come in because you're only getting the issues and the problems. And I think when that happens, even though you know, hey, the people that are happy are not writing into support, like you end up just feeling like everything's negative, and then
Yeah.
about just coming out of the bubble. And then I've actually done this with like, hey, I'm just going to do some like customer interviews with successful people because I want to have the case studies. And then you do those and you're like, oh, I feel great and motivated again because I know that for some people, like we're really helping them and what we're doing really matters. So I've actually been thinking about how I can do that more in an automated way for the company because like think like support tickets are going to come in, churn, cancellation stuff comes in automatically, but you don't necessarily see customer wins the same way. And so I'm trying to think like how do I scale that out? Because that is the most motivating part. But yeah,
I
it's a
love
little tough because you can often just only and you only think about the problems because stuff's good. You're like, cool, that's not a problem. Let me get to the next problem that I can solve. But I think you got to just keep yourself centered on the wins. I saw something in a book that like founders should try to say 3 positive things at the end of the day. So I tried doing that with my husband, and he's a resident doctor, so like his life is pretty tough right now too. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna try to say 3 positive things at the end of the day. And it's funny because it's so hard to do. You're like, I can think of 8 million things that went wrong and nothing positive. But once you start doing it, then the idea is you start looking for positive things, and it like helps your attitude. So we actually I forgot about that. We were doing it pretty well for the last couple months, and then we moved and everything, fell apart. But I think doing things like that is good too, just to make sure you're staying in tune with the positive things.
So many founders that I know, including myself, have struggled with perfectionism. And I think that when you struggle with perfectionism, it is so hard to focus on the wins and to celebrate the wins. Um, it's something personally that I've had to really consciously try to refocus on the wins on a regular basis. But I'm just wondering, like, in terms of the idea that you have to integrate this more into the company in a more automated way, are you thinking like scheduling like quarterly interviews? Is that kind of thing you mean? Or
I was thinking like if there could be an alert that goes out like,
mm,
customer A just recorded their 100th video, or like they just booked a meeting with Sendspark, and to be like sharing those wins on a regular basis. So you're just like, there's a Slack channel that's just like constantly pouring in wins with the customers. Or like this person, for example, we're adding a feature to with Sensepark, you're creating these AI personalized videos. So we have a feature that's like, okay, if the video is bad, you can say it looks bad, like there's an issue. But like, what's the opposite? I can be like, oh, this person was really impressed with the voice quality. They said this is exactly what they need. Like, how do we get those positive things so you're not just always hearing like the issues, you're hearing the wins? Because there's way more wins than issues, but
right.
you're only focused on fixing the bad stuff.
Do you all use anything like Post Hog to track user behavior that you could kind of easily
Yeah. Yeah, we use PostHog, and we also use June, and they have an integration with each other. And so with
I've never
June,
heard of June. What's June?
have you heard of Segment? We used to
Yeah.
use. Okay, so it's same idea where you can track events, and
Okay.
there's certain things you want to track, like recorded videos, generated videos, like hit a success metric. Like we have that data in June, and it is easy to push it into Slack. So that's what I was thinking. And even like we maybe push things that are necessary for the business, like user hit 90 or 100% of their video limit for the month, so it's an upgrade opportunity. Like we do, but
Yes.
it's not just general like wins. Like I think we need to do more like this person booked their 10th meeting with Sendspark and like confetti.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Love that idea. Totally, you should do that. um, so let's talk a little bit about personalization in sales. Okay, so how are you seeing, as someone who has a front row seat to
Yeah.
this, how are you seeing AI impact this specific tactic, if you want to call personalization a tactic?
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm seeing. So I'm going to talk specifically about the video side because that's where we live. Like I'm seeing people be able to use video a lot better, which is counterintuitive. Because I think sometimes people think, okay, if you're using AI to personalize it, I'm just going to take the same generic video, you're going to put my name on it, and it's not really better. But what we're finding is a lot of sales reps maybe try to do personalized video before, but they didn't like it because it took so much time, or you're just like repeating yourself and it feels like wasteful. But with Sendspark, you can take all the time in the world to create one really good video for a cohort and think about what personalization really means. So like you can record one really good video where you're mentioning like a problem to be like, hey, looks like your website is not responsive. And, you know, you're dynamically pulling in the website, but you have made a list of all these people that have issues with their website. And so now you're pulling that into the video. You're really touching on the problem and how you can help and spending the time to perfect these like really effective videos and then sending them out in bulk. So I think that because we're able to do so much of the rote video creation faster, you're able to spend more time thinking on like what actually needs to be relevant, what should be shown in the video, and then how can I just build this and send out in a scalable way. And I think that's really interesting. And I've seen all kinds of great use cases of like showing the prospect's website or showing a list of all the ads they're running on Meta ads, or showing like website reports or things like that to create really good videos, or LinkedIn profiles talking about jobs. So I think that's really interesting. I've seen a lot of like AI personalization in the email text too. And I think a lot of that, I think some people are really good at doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't, but at least it really helps with deliverability. So
I feel like it's similar to writing with AI. Like some people are really good writers and they don't necessarily have like blank page syndrome. You know, they can get some stuff on the page and then they can use AI to make it better, edit it, or something like that. But then there's people who just don't know where to start. And maybe it's the same with video creation.
And part of it too, I mean, part of it too is like, we're talking about sales personalization. So like, how many sales messages do you really love? Like often you get some and you're like, this is amazing. But that's like the top 1%. So I think it does raise the bar, or maybe not the bar. It raises the baseline for everyone to help you be a little bit better. And then the people who are really good at it are getting insane results. But I think that the video is more like video personalization is a more accessible advantage to people than because, you know, anyone, if you make a good video or even just an okay video and send it out, you're going to stand out, you're going to show what you do, and you're going to catch someone's attention. But with the email personalization, I can go one way or the other.
For your user base, are you seeing people use Sendspark dramatically more for email or for social, like DMs, social selling?
Good question. I think probably still more email on total, but definitely LinkedIn has more momentum where like, you know, people have started doing a lot more LinkedIn over the past, we'll say 6 to 9 months. So it feels like it's bigger. I don't think it is bigger yet, but it definitely is like moving in that direction where LinkedIn's becoming popular.
What's one unconventional thing that you do to either spark creativity or recharge?
I do circus arts. So I think that's really fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if I can.
How did you start doing that?
And it was so random. I had a friend in college who did silks, and I don't know if you can see my background.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can see a little bit. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's really nice. I think, you know, it has a lot of the same benefits of like karate, which is you have to be focused on what you're doing, because if not, like,
you'll end up like hooking yourself with silk.
Yeah. And it's a good exercise, so it's like physical. And that I do silks myself. And I've actually, even in the last office I was in Chattanooga, my investors like helped me put a silk up in the office so I could do it. And then I do active yoga with my husband too, which is really fun for us.
Oh, I am like gonna start doing this tomorrow.
It's really fun.
Looks so fun. Is it relatively easy to install those?
I'd say relatively. The person who installed it in the office was like a rock climber, so he really knew how to tie things. I would have tried it, and he also, I think his job was he was like our investor's brother. His job was like installing things, so he knew what he was doing. But there's often gyms for them. So now that Chattanooga is smaller, but now that I'm in Seattle, like there's a bunch of gyms to go to. But after yoga, you don't need anyone, just a partner and a mat, and that's really fun too.
Okay, so what's one book, podcast, resource that has profoundly impacted your perspective and mindset as a founder?
Um, a classic, but I'll go with The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
I've not heard of it. Who's
Oh,
that?
it's so good. It's by what's his name? Ben Horowitz from Andreessen Horowitz.
Okay, okay.
And he talks about what is the CEO's job, and like it's basically to like make decisions, make sure the company doesn't run out of money, and set the vision. And just the hard thing about hard things, he points out the only way that you can really learn how to be a CEO is doing it, and doing it every day, and like learning and continuing to get better, and talking to other CEOs and like learning from them, because it's not if you want to learn how to do marketing, you're a junior marketer, but you don't have the same luxury as a founder.
Right.
And though I would say like working at other startups and things like that is a huge benefit. So I thought that was really helpful. He also has a book on culture that I thought was really good too, that I recommend reading. And one thing that he mentions about culture that I think about all the time is that to really have culture, you need to have a way that your company would make decisions where the opposite of those decisions is also really valid. Like if you say like, hey, our culture is to be honest. It's like, well, no one's going to say like, it's good to lie. Like that's not really, or that's just saying things. But if you're like, hey, our culture is we're going to build in public, you could easily say, hey, well, the other side is to keep things more private. And that's totally valid too. So it's really thinking about like, what do we do where the opposite is very valid, and then making those consequences. I think that is really interesting. So I really like both his books. And then let's see, I read a lot of like marketing and branding books recently, but that's more like tactical. So I'd say like his New Founder start with. I also like 0 to 1, kind of like classic.
Okay. Yeah, I like that point on culture, because it just makes me think about making sure that your kind of like values are like livable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like
and that's exactly what it's like, livable, and it's a framework for making decisions.
Yes.
Right. And if it's not, if it's just like, be nice, be honest, it's like, okay, that's not going to tell you, well, how do you act in certain situations?
Right.
Real culture is like, hey, we would do this. Someone who is a Sendsparker, they're going to make these types of decisions. Someone who's not would do that. That's also perfectly valid. We respect them. But our group is, the same in this way.
Agreed. So where can people find you on social, Bethany?
I'm probably on LinkedIn the most of any social platform. So just LinkedIn, and you can look at my name, Bethany Stachenfeld. I'm the only Bethany Stachenfeld as far as I know. So you can find me there. You can also send me an email if you want. My email is bethany@sendspark.com, and I'll
love that. Okay, you gave us your email. Okay, do not spam her, people.
Well, if you do, at least send me a video. That's my only ask.
With Sendspark. Must be a Sendspark video. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks everyone else for joining us today. I hope this episode was as inspiring for you as it was for me. So thanks everyone. Bye.